Hello, everyone. Welcome on in for the final time this week to Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, your number one tennis podcast and YouTube show brought to you in association with Bet Rivers, your hometown sportsbook. I am Nigel Seeley. As you can see, I am still over in Riga, where England played last night against Latvia in the World Cup qualifier. A 5-0 win for the Three Lions that saw them qualify for the World Cup in America in summer of next year in 2026. I'm just about to introduce you to Sean Calvert, our senior ATP Tour handicapper, who has 4 matches for us to look at tomorrow. In form, good results yesterday for us. Before I do, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like, give us your comments, but most importantly, please send subscribers. We slowed up a little bit on the subscribers in the last couple of weeks or so. We want to get that growing again. So please hit the subscribe button if you like the content we're doing. Obviously, we do it all for you, and the more subscribers we get, the better it will be for everybody. So please hit the subscribe button. That'd be great. Sean, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good? You're good?
Very well. Very fresh, actually.
There.
I was very cold. I'm very fresh. I was very cold last night. It was very wet, very cold, but I feel remarkably well this morning.
Yeah, it looked a bit inclement there where you were over in Latvia, but obviously England got the win, so that's cheered you up a bit.
Yeah, that was good. 5-0 win, obviously. They were heavy spectators. Very strange ground. Only 10,000 people in the ground. It's very weird to see international football in that sort of stadium. But it was a good win, which means England have qualified for the World Cup. But it's not about the soccer here. It's about tennis. We have 3 tournaments this week, as you know, all week in the 250s across Europe. And our first one is in Almaty in Kazakhstan, where we didn't really speak about this. Well, first of all, congratulations on the winners yesterday. We had a good day yesterday, didn't we?
Well, yeah, one of the official picks, well, it was mixed, to be honest. One of the official picks won. Collignon won, as I hoped he would, against a very sort of bedraggled Zizou Bergs. I think Komesana beat Goffin. That was a lean, unfortunately. I didn't put that in as an official pick, and unfortunately we lost Medvedev. He had a bit of a shocker. He didn't look happy from the first ball against Nakashima. So it's a bit of a mixed day, but yeah, I think all the bets and leans won in Brussels. We can't talk about Brussels today because all the matches have been played today in Brussels. There's only one for tomorrow. So concentrating on Almaty. A bit of a disappointing morning there. Gabriel Diallo lost a bad one to James Duckworth, which was really disappointing. But yeah, we move on. It's up and down, but that's tennis, isn't it?
Yeah, the tournament in Almaty is an early start. It's 2:00 tomorrow, Thursday morning. It's 2 a.m. Eastern time. And remember, if you do have a bet on anything that Sean says on this show, or if you have a bet on your own advice, remember that you can bet live and watch live with Bet Rivers. Those matches will be streamed live to your tablet or your mobile device for you to enjoy. Okay, let's start the action with our first match. And when the graphic was going up, and I've got a bit of a bad internet today here over in Riga, but today, when the graphic come through, I was looking at this graphic thinking, this doesn't look right. Daniil Medvedev, I know he's had a bad run at the season, had a little bit of resurgence in recent weeks, but how on earth is he minus 715 to beat Adam Walton, who's plus 480? Spread here is 4.5 with Bet Rivers, 20.5 the totals, lots of different markets available on the app, over 50 different markets on this match. But the one that draws my attention straight away is minus 715 Medvedev. They've met once before, and Walton won it, and it was this year in Cincinnati. Yep. And he won it fairly comfortably, won 6-1 in the final set. Medvedev is okay. I mean, he's doing all right, Sean. I mean, semi-finals in Shanghai last week, semi-finals in Beijing. You know, he's showing some signs of improvement, but minus 715, not for me.
In the 250?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Kazakhstan.
I wonder what sort of commitment we'll get here from Daniil Medvedev. I mean, he had some epic battles in Shanghai, didn't he? I mean, he should have lost to Tien, really. Still not entirely sure how he won that match. And it was hot, it was sweaty. You know, every point is a war with Medvedev anyway. You know, that's the way he plays. And, you know, tons of long rallies. He looked absolutely spent by the end, cramping all the time. What has he got left in the tank, and what sort of motivations he got for a 250? Apart from, I assume he's getting a nice little bit of pocket money for playing here. And we saw Zizou Bergs yesterday when he got to the quarters in Shanghai. You know, one match less than Medvedev, and Bergs had very little left, which is kind of how I hoped it would turn out. I know these are different people, different situations, but it's a tall order. You know, he's got Vienna next week, so 500. You know, you've been there. It's quite a prestigious tournament. He's won it before, if I remember rightly. Then he's got Paris Masters 1000 the week after. I mean, you know, just do yourself a favour and take a week off. He's had a few days to recover from the flight. and get used to the altitude. It's not a quick flight, Shanghai to Almaty. It's like 10 hours. And he's moving from hot, sweaty, humid, outdoor hard to indoor hard with altitude. So it's not easy to expect him just to come in and knock off Adam Walton at minus 715. I mean, I'll be very impressed if he does. And of course, he lost to Walton, as you said, as a minus $5 favourite a few months ago in Washington, D.C., when he again struggled physically, Medvedev. He doesn't seem to have that same stamina that he used to have 2 or 3 years ago, where you just didn't expect him to ever have a physical letdown. He'd play long rally after long rally, match after match after match, and he used to say, I don't really get tired. Now he does. I know these are indoor conditions. It won't be as hot. It probably won't be as much of a cramping situation, but that depends what he's got left in the tank after so many battles last week in Shanghai. And Walton on the other side of the net, he'll fancy this. He's the one that's more attuned to the conditions after 3 sets in round 1 against his fellow Aussie Schoolkate. And the Aussies are doing great in Almaty. Hopefully Vukic, one of those Aussies, can progress as well. But there's a lot of Aussies in this draw. Duckworth's just come through as well, which is very disappointing for me to beat Diallo. And there's a bit of a sort of a good vibe there with the Aussies. Walton said after the match against Schoolkate, he said, I feel like we all try and stick together. A lot of the Aussies came here last year, so it felt like a good one for me to try out for the first time, and I've been super impressed. So there's just a good feeling with the Aussies at the minute of this particular tournament. I mean, Walton doesn't have a great record against top 20 opponents overall, but his last 3 have been much, much better. Obviously, he beat Medvedev. He lost a tight one to Zverev, 7-6, 6-4. And he lost a match where I was in attendance to Alcaraz, only 6-4, 7-6 at Queen's Club. He was unlucky not to win a set there, Adam Walton. And in the 7 matches he's played against top 20 opponents, the opening set has gone to either 12 or 13 games on 5 occasions. So he's been very competitive against the best players in the world, and particularly early on. I mean, his form's not been great, to be honest, since that Medvedev win, but as I say, there's a bit of a feel-good factor about the Aussies this week in Almaty. So there's a load of options here I've considered. I mean, the obvious ones are over totals, plus 4.5 games. Those are, fairly obvious and decent options. I like to get a bit more juice for my money, as you know. So Walton, just to win a set, any set, plus 155 with Bet Rivers seems like the way to go. Or if you want an even bigger risk-reward scenario, then opening set plus 320, 4.2 about Adam Walton winning the opening set is I would say, the best of the big price options. I'm going to go with plus 1.5 sets or to win a set. Same bet. 2.55 plus 155 for Bet Rivers.
Yeah, good ways to get against Medvedev, who, he's looking okay, but minus 715, and obviously a lot of tennis. That epic match as well. Lennard TM was an absolute epic match. Could be tired here. We've seen already players travelling here. I find it tough for Medvedev. At minus 715 is a price that, you've got to be very brave to take. Let's move on to our second match, which involves Russian again, Khachanov up against Jean-Leonard Struff. You mentioned Leonard Struff in the first round against McDonald. You thought that as a minus money favourite that he was worth getting with. He won. Ended a bit of a bad losing run with a win over McDonald. Khachanov is on a 3-match losing run. He's the number 1 seed here. And on the preview show, you told us about how poor the number 1 seeds have done in this tournament. Minus 275 for Khachanov. Jean-Leonard Struff is 210. Spread is 3.5. Totals 22.5. You look at the over. Overs minus 133. The overs what caught my attention straight away. When you look at the head-to-head record here, these two players have met 4 times in the ATP Tour. 3 wins to 1 to Khachanov, but every single match has cashed over, and everyone has been a long match. 7-6 in the final set, 7-5, 7-5, 6-4, lots and lots of tie breaks. And when they played in a challenger event in 2016, there was 2 tie breaks in that as well. So this looks a real overs match.
Yeah, it does. I mean, Khachanov should be better prepared than his compatriot Medvedev, you would think. Be a sad state of affairs if he isn't. But yeah, this is a tough opening match in these conditions. As you said, matches between them have almost always been close. 5 of the 6 they've played have ended in a final set. 4 of the 6 they've contested have ended either 7-5 or 7-6 in the final set. And you could argue on the stats of the series that Struff should probably have won more than he has. I think he's won 2 of them, hasn't he, Struff? 2 out of 6, I think, off the top of my head.
Yeah.
He should have done better. And it's the case that he hasn't probably won the big points, but he's been the better player over the course of the career series. 4-2 to Khachanov. So the service points won and return points won totals of the series, 102 to 98 in favour of Struff. So he's been the better player, you could argue, over the course of those 6 matches. He's only won 2 of them. Needs to, be better on the big points. Khachanov's maybe been the calmer, the more focused, whatever. Won the big points, ended up winning the matches, but with great difficulty. And Struff's been slightly better in all departments in this matchup. Khachanov's only won 33% of return points against the Struff serve, and the last 2 of those were on clay. And Struff winning 79% on first serve, which is very, very good as well, considering a couple of those matches were played on clay. Let's just have a look at some of those. Yeah, they're both in Hamburg as well. That isn't quick at all. That's one of the slower, unless it was particularly quick that year if they had a really sunny week or whatever. But Hamburg is not generally a quick clay tournament. He's still winning 79% on first serve across the career series. So Struff's been the better player overall. Lost some tight matches he probably should have won. Khachanov's coming in here having lost 4 of his last 5 matches. And the service points won and return points won total in his last 10 matches, 102.8. It's all right. It's pretty decent. Nothing for Struff to be worried about. And he's only won 50% of his second serve points in those 10 matches, Khachanov. So he's not playing that great from the back of the court. Struff in his last 10, 60% win rate and a total of 101. So on the head-to-head, on the recent stats, you wouldn't have Struff plus 210 to win this match. And we know Struff plays well at altitude. He has said numerous times in the past that his absolutely ideal conditions are altitude clay. Obviously, this isn't clay, but it still enables Struff to do some of the things that he does well on a clay court at altitude. I'm thinking mainly of the kick serve, which works really well at altitude, worked well against Mackenzie McDonald. McDonald doesn't like the ball coming up high, kicking up high to him. I just think it would be a very, very tough opener for Khachanov. We also know with Struff, he has had a lot of patterns over the years. He does tend to start fast against the better players. He tends to come out firing. He's had 3 sets under his belt in these match conditions, which should also be an advantage. Khachanov, I'm sure Khachanov prepared pretty well. He's had plenty of time to do it, but it's not the same as being on the match court. So a bet that I've had numerous times with Struff, and it's proved pretty profitable over the years. Struff to win the opening set, plus 160 with Bet Rivers, I think, is definitely the way to go here.
And that was the bet when we had at the US Open, when it was Struffy, going viral on Instagram.
Was it set 1 that we had there?
I'm sure it was set 1. He won the first set. We won the first set.
It might have been, yeah. It might have been. It's won a lot over the years because he does tend to come out absolutely firing, and then he tends to lose a bit of confidence once the better player, if you want to say that, has kind of grown into the match, and he has tended to lose the matches more often than not, but he started very, very quickly against the best players, and this scenario feels like a good opportunity for him to do that again.
Now remember, those matches the action starts at 2 a.m. Eastern time, so a very, very early start tomorrow in Almaty. And if you like what you hear on our shows, remember you can sign up for free to the Betting Weekly newsletter and the Betting Weekly Insider. All you have to do is go to bettingweeklystudios.com to register. Now, 3 picks in midweek. It was a clean sweep. And I think that's 5 winning picks in the last 6 we've given on the newsletter. So lots and lots of good picks available there from all the app because we win crew. Let's move on to our next tournament. We're moving from Kazakhstan to Stockholm. Conditions there, similar to no change to what we spoke about yesterday.
Yeah, it looks slow to me. I think it's these horrible soddling balls. It certainly looks slower than I haven't got any more stats in than I had yesterday, but it looks a fair bit slower to me than the other 2 tournaments.
Now they say it'll start a little bit later on today, but still early. 5 a.m. is when the action starts. We haven't got the order of play yet, but one match we do know tomorrow will be the match that Sean wants to concentrate on first over in Stockholm. It's the match between Tomas Martin Etcheverry and Miomir Kecmanovic. Kecmanovic is a favourite at minus 162, plus 130 for Etcheverry. 2.5 spread. Total here is 22.5. These 2 have met twice before. 1 win apiece. The first time was back in 2022 in the French Open, which Kecmanovic won in straight sets. And they also played in 2023, also in Paris, but indoors. And it was a close win, but Etcheverry got the better of his opponent there. So 1 win apiece. If you look at their record coming to this week, Etcheverry had a good win in round one against Lejeune, dangerous player. Slow conditions probably suited him there. And Kecmanovic had a decent win over Muller. So both of them in a bit of form, both of them playing well. But the conditions, if they're slow, the underdog may be worth a little bit of an interest.
Yeah, I'm not sure about Kecmanovic here. He's not one of your favourites, is he, old Miomir?
No.
And you can see why. I mean, he's so unreliable. I mean, Etcheverry's been in very good form lately, and until he got injured, it was so unlucky for us when we had him outright 33-1 in Hangzhou. He got injured to set up in I think it was the quarterfinals against Mute. Looked like he was going to go all the way to the final there. Hasn't really played since until here. I think it was like a rib or sort of intercostal injury, something like that. Came back here. He was out hit at times by Marc Leal. Leal's one of those players that you always feel like he should be much higher ranked than he is. Bit of a big time player, Leal. Doesn't seem to be able to cope with the ins and outs of the tour. But give him a big match on a centre stage, and he'll show what he can do. And Etcheverry had to grind him down at the end, and with these sort of slow balls, he might well do it again against Kecmanovic. He beat Kecmanovic indoors in Paris when they met there 2 years ago, and he was a decent winner, 104-96. I feel like I bet Etcheverry that day. I think I was there. I think it was in Lower Dungeon 1, and if my memory serves me correctly. It was definitely in Lower Dungeon 1. I can't remember whether I bet Etcheverry or Kecmanovic. I probably bet Etcheverry. Anyway, he won it 104-96. Kecmanovic only won 32% of return points that day, and Kecmanovic was 1.71, minus 141 favourite. Now he's minus, 162? I'm not sure what's changed there. The only thing I can think of is the physical sort of condition of Etcheverry. I'll talk about that in a minute, but there's not, it must be that because there's not a lot else. There's nothing between them really on hard court stats over the last 12 months. Service points won and return points won totals. Etcheverry 100, Kecmanovic 101. Okay, slight advantage to Kecmanovic, but not minus 162 worth. And the thing that you're probably thinking of with Kecmanovic, he's so unreliable. He's lost 6 of his last 8 main level matches when he's been priced between 1.5 and 1.7. That's minus $2 and minus 143. In that price range, lost 6 of his last 8. He's certainly not a reliable favourite in that price range. He also has a disturbing habit of starting strongly and failing to win the match. 7 times in his last 10 main level matches, he's won the opening set and got on to lose. And that's Kecmanovic. That's what makes him so frustrating. He's a great ball striker, but between the ears, when it comes down to push comes to shove at the end of the match, he so often just folds. And the only issue that puts me off here is Etcheverry's fitness. He had that long battle against Leal, obviously just come back from injury, and he's withdrawn from the doubles as well. He was playing with, I think, Ugo Carabelli. I can't imagine they were going to win this tournament, to be perfectly honest, but they've withdrawn from it anyway, which isn't always a great sign. If you trust Etcheverry's fitness, then plus 130 is not a bad bet, and that's probably where I'd go if I was having a bet in this one.
There you go. There's a lean there. Our final match is a match between 2 big servers, Matteo Berrettini and Ugo Humbert. Not quite sure whether the conditions are going to suit these two, but anyway, it's a battle of the 2 servers. Berrettini's minus 124, Humbert is plus 102, an underdog, which does surprise me actually. The spread is a half, which you would expect on a pick and match, and the total, as again expected, quite high at 23.5. They've met 4 times previously, and it's 3-1, the winning head-to-head record for Berrettini, including the last time they met, which was in the 2023 US Open. But to be honest with you, Berrettini isn't the player he was then, and his career's been blighted by injuries. Quite surprised though, Humbert is the underdog here. Berrettini has had the advantage of playing a match already this week. Humbert can be a bit cold and not in great form, but Berrettini minus 124. Something about that price I don't like.
You know what the opening show was here on Berrettini?
No idea.
2.75.
Wow.
Plus 175, Berrettini. It didn't last long, but that's what it was. I'm not.
Well, I don't like that price, and I don't like the minus 124. I think the price is somewhere between the two of them.
Yeah, that was crazy when I looked at that. I just couldn't believe it. I mean, that would have been a fabulous bet based on the career series. This is a really interesting one. There's so many factors here at play. The head-to-head is very much in favour of Matteo Berrettini. 108 to 92 in terms of service points won and return points won totals. Humbert only winning 28% of return points. Berrettini holding serve 82% of the time. Now, if you're just taking it on that, you certainly would have been interested in 2.75. However, two of those matches were played at the US Open, where, as I've said many times, Humbert absolutely hates it. Can't stand the US Open. Can't stand the tournament. Hates the food. Has to take his own chef with him. Doesn't like all the noise, etc., etc. He's only won 3 of 11 matches, Humbert, at the US Open. So there is a bit of a sort of a question mark over the head because 2 of them were played there, and as I said, Humbert can't stand it. Again, on the other hand, Humbert also has had pretty severe issues against other big servers. He's actually lost 11 of his 14 matches against the big servers in my database. He just tends to get bullied by them. Again, some of it is a personality thing. Humbert, he's quite a quiet guy. One of the reasons he doesn't like New York, he doesn't like all that razzmatazz, if you want to call it that. He doesn't like the noise. He's not that sort of guy. And he's been bullied, as I said, by big servers, and certainly been bullied by Berrettini. I think the price initially was probably on the indoor hard stats. That's maybe one reason for that. Berrettini's indoor hard record isn't that great. Looking at their last 50 main level matches on indoor hard, only 34 for Berrettini because he's only played 34. 50% win rate, service points won and return points won, total of 100. You would probably expect better from Berrettini than that on indoor hard, but not that fabulous a record. Humbert, much better, 68% win rate, service points won and return points won, total of 104. So if you're just taking it on those stats, then maybe there's something to be said for 2.75, but it's still wrong. But both hold serve, as you would expect, quite often indoors. 87, 88% of the time, the pair of them hold serve on indoors. Berrettini only winning 32.5% of return points on indoor hard. So, you're immediately you're thinking overs here, given the way these guys play on indoor hard. The other factor is the slow conditions. I mean, it's not deathly slow. It's just not. It's kind of medium slow, I would say. It's certainly not as quick as Brussels and Almaty. I don't think that'll suit either player. You could argue with Berrettini to give him a bit of an extra second, maybe to run round his backhand as he likes to do, which he will probably have to do against lefties. He's got a surprisingly good record against lefties, Berrettini. I've looked at this before, and I've thought the way that he plays shouldn't have a great record against lefties, the way he likes to run round his backhand, but his record is actually good because he can get on the front foot, which he's done against Humbert, and dictate the play himself. Once he lets a lefty start dictating the play, like against Mannarino, he tends to struggle. So Humbert really needs to play this match on his own terms. Neither of them have been in particularly good form. Injuries for both this year, usual for Berrettini, not so usual for Humbert, but they've both struggled. Last 10 main level matches, Humbert, service points won and return points won, total of 99. Berrettini, 98. Much lower than you would expect from these guys. I'd certainly give Humbert a much better chance, or a better chance, indoors and away from the US Open than he's had before against Berrettini. I think this is going to go long. The game spread is quite high, over 23.5 the totals, that is. I would go here over 2.5 sets plus 120. I think this is going to take a quite a lot to sort out. Humbert will be desperate to win this because he's got all those points. Remember, he made the final of Paris, in a few weeks. He's got all them to defend at some point over the next few weeks, either here in Basel or Paris. So he's got to start winning. So he'll be desperate to win it. Berrettini, we know, is desperate to get back on track after all those injuries. So I think this will go long. The total spread 23.5. That in these slow conditions, that doesn't appeal, but the over 2.5 sets does appeal. That was a plus 120 chance for Bet Rivers.
It's a better way to get with the overs rather than the total there, which is minus money. You're getting a plus money for over 2.5 sets. Two players very evenly matched in the betting, and obviously it's a substantial move though. Berrettini plus 175 into minus 124.
I think it was just a correction. I think it was a correct. It didn't last long. I think it was just a correction. It doesn't seem right, does it? That 2.75 plus 175 Berrettini. That bit wrong. That,
so there are our 4 matches, all previewed. Remember, as I keep saying to you, an early start tomorrow in Almaty, 2 a.m. Eastern time on Thursday morning, and obviously over in Sweden, 5 a.m. Eastern time. We also have all the matches at Brussels as well, which we can't cover, and we're here today because they're all being played. But there'll be some good ties tomorrow, so check out the Bet Rivers app, download the app, look at the website and see all those odds available on those matches. You'll be able to have all the markets, well, probably 50, 60 different markets available on those matches. Remember, the content here is coming fast and furious. We have Betting Weekly Premier League back tomorrow. We have Betting Weekly Extra Time on Friday after club soccer returns after the international break. Betting Weekly Live every day, Monday through to Friday. And we have Betting Weekly Live US version as well, which is 5 p.m. Eastern Time. The UK version is at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And also Betting Weekly Tennis Live Monday through to Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time as well. Sean, before I let you go, what are your official plays for tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm going to take the 2 in the quick conditions in Almaty. Adam Walton to win a set, any set, plus 1.5 sets, whichever market you want there, against Medvedev. That's 2.55 plus 155 chance of Bet Rivers. And our old favourite, Lennard Struff to win the opening set against high-ranked opposition in Khachanov, plus 160, that is, to win the opening set, Lennard Struff.
Make sure you follow us on socials at Because We Win. You may see a video tomorrow of Sean Calvert looking at the score in this Struffy game, going, Struffy, Struffy, Struffy. One of our best videos you watch. The Magavanac does a little bit Struffy. Okay, good luck with your bets. We'll be back again on Sunday where we preview some big tournaments. We're Austria next week, Vienna.
Yes, Basel and Vienna, yeah. 500s, yeah.
Basel and Vienna. A couple of big tournaments as we conclude the season on the ATP Tour. I think we're about flat on the year so far if you followed all our picks, and hopefully we're going to end the season on a high, and hopefully we can cash some more tickets for tomorrow as well. Good luck with your bets. Take care, and we'll speak to you all again next week.